if this is working.
Testing.
Right, everybody. I don't know if this is working or if anyone's actually watching. It's the first time I'm doing a live stream on this sort of thing, so I'll just get rid of these and quickly refresh that. A fair old mess. I'm not very technically minded when it comes to this social media business. It's a bit of a new thing for me. So hopefully this is working. I've had about 3 or 4, maybe even 5 attempts at doing this tonight. So I'll give it a go, see how it works. So if you watch my videos, you know that we're mad on Matic, and clearly we're into Bitcoin. Why wouldn't we be? It'd be rude not to. So the idea is I'm going to do this live stream now. Hopefully some people will tune in and watch. They've probably given up already because I've been trying to do it for the last half an hour, and I can see some people had logged in. They're probably just given up on it now. So we'll see how it goes. Right, just bear with me a few more minutes and I'll have this up and running for you. I've made a fine mess of this, I can tell you. It's the first time I've done a live stream with different software, because I used to be able to use Google Hangouts, and I haven't bothered doing a live stream since then. I've just gone onto YouTube now and it's all messed up, so it says I had to learn how to use another piece of software. So if you've tuned in and watched, you will have noticed that this will be like my 4th or 5th attempt of trying to get a live stream up and running. So those of you that are watching, thanks for your patience. Right, so I can't do this for too long because I have to get myself to bed because I'm not feeling too good. But I thought I'd give it a trial run, see how we're going, and if there's any coins you want me to have a quick look at, I'm happy to do so. Clearly, we're into our Matic and our Bitcoin and stuff like that. So those are the main things we can look at. But just send me a shout. Sorry, I'm being distracted by loads of other stuff. Yeah, I used to look at EOS all the time. We can have a quick look at that. I don't think it's doing very well. Most of the alts are falling to pieces at the moment. So we'll have a quick peep. Anything that you'll find on Binance, I'm happy to look at. I'm not going to look at anything else that's off Binance. So I had made a fair bit on EOS before. I stopped trading it actually. It was making some decent moves in that last tiny little alt season that it had, but since then it's kind of collapsed in on itself. So where were we? Yeah, it had a nice little run up here, and I kind of I made a fair bit, but I got burned at the end, and I just kind of left it. I did make a few shorts, but I mean, look at the state of it. It's very sorry for itself. All these altcoins are looking pretty sorry for themselves. The main problem I've got with EOS now is that it's trending with the alt market, and the alt market is still going to be down. So let me bring up. This is what I use generally to work out. Ah, you are so annoying. I've clearly not prepared for this live stream. This is a good chart to map out how alts in general are going to fare up. Go on, that's a strange little tick there. That's really bizarre. Well, it definitely wasn't there before. What's going on with this? You know what? I think I might have to just leave that one be. It's not. It doesn't normally look like this. Something's gone really wrong with that. But basically, what we're looking at on this chart is for this to start bouncing and reversing, and it's not looking like it wants to bounce, nor does it look like it wants to reverse at the moment. Let me add some indicators to this. Hang on. So just usually a quick gander at the 50 and the 200 EMA should tell us which way and how long it's likely to take for the entire alt market to pick up. Now you can see stuff like the at the moment we've got like the ICO coins, the IEO coins. They're kind of raging at the moment, so they don't really count for this. But what we need to see is this this do the inverse. So we had our death cross here, and until this the gap starts to be filled between these two here, it's unfortunately is dead. Get rid of that volume. So what I was hoping for, what we were looking at before, was this little bit here. It was looking quite positive for a lot of the alts over this last month or so. When we were bouncing in between the green 50 exponential and the white 200 exponential, and what we were hoping for was a bounce to break above this, and that would have indicated a general strength in the alt market. But what unfortunately happened, and this was because of Bitcoin. So just a bit of an overview. This total 2 on TradingView is really decent indicator to show you the general strength of the alt market. And you can see that it's just had money sapped out of it because Bitcoin decided to break down just recently, and you know obviously that when that happens, altcoins generally follow. So these altcoins here include all the crappiest altcoins you could possibly find, as well as all the good ones and the ones in between. So obviously it's being dragged down by a hell of a lot of crap, but those really crappy altcoins, they don't have much money involved in them, you see. But as a collective, when you add hundreds of them together, they do add a bit of weight to this chart. But overall, you've got things like EOS, Ethereum, Litecoin, XRP, huge market cap coins, and they all came down. So with that, brought down this chart, and this chart is just this is the chart that's going to show us, when is it time to pick up an altcoin in general, and when will the market start to recover. And unfortunately, we've just recently made a lower low on this. But with lower lows come opportunities for reversals, and what I was originally thinking when I saw this chart back before, I was thinking November would have been the first opportunity for us to pick up and have a kind of an alt season at the very earliest, and that's because I kind of saw this move kind of coming, but it failed, and it failed because of Bitcoin. So unfortunately, at the moment, you could pick up some alts now in the hope that this will reverse and bounce back up, but without it, without this chart in general showing how the market is looking healthy, I mean, it's not looking healthy at all. It's looking pretty dire. When we do get across, similar to how we had one here, we'll have an alt season, and this is what an alt season will look like. From top to bottom. Let's have a little measure move. So the golden cross forms here, and from the top to the bottom it's a 100% increase. So obviously coins will be picking up from there, because if we look back here, we found our absolute bottom back down here, and it was at this level that we started to pick up ever so slowly. So yeah, you can think about picking up coins down at this level now. What I would say though, for EOS and all these other coins, all these top market cap coins, what I would definitely say is I'm expecting Bitcoin to break down, because we're getting a death cross on this, and that would suggest that we're likely to break down over time now, to go below 6,000 into the 5,000s, and my overall target is going to be, this is the absolute bottom. It might not reach this, but with the death cross it could quite easily. We'll just call it a flat 5,000, or just below that into maybe 4,900, and it's at that point there where we can start to look at how dramatic this has brought us down if we've made brand new lows, even lower than this level here just before the beginning of the year. If we've collapsed down further than that, then yeah, you might as well think about it. You could probably pick some of those top market cap coins up, not the little crappy ones, the top market cap ones, because in all fairness, this destruction of this chart could wipe a lot of those small market cap coins off the face of the earth, and it wouldn't be worth picking them up after, because they're just going to be dead. There'll be no money in them, so that you might be able to do 100x on them, but no one will buy it off you. So when we're looking at this chart here, we're talking about the top 30, maybe the top 100 coins, but I'd focus on the top 30, because if you buy something, you're going to want to have to sell it afterwards. So there's no point in doing 100x if there's nobody going to buy it off you. I mean, I mine coins on a Raspberry Pi, and have done for years, called Magicoin, and at its peak it was a couple of dollars. At the moment it's like 2 cents, and you look at the daily trading volume on it, and it's like a couple of $100 in one day. That's all it trades. So I've been mining these coins for like I say, a few years, just on a Raspberry Pi. It costs me no money to do it. It just does it for fun, really. But if I ever came around to selling it, I'd probably have to wait in a queue for some mug who for some reason wants to buy it, and if no one's buying it at 2 cents, who's going to buy it at $2? Nobody. So that's the problem with having these small cap coins. So when we're looking at this chart, we're looking at EOS, we're looking at Ethereum, and all those sort of things. So you want to have a look at Ren then, shall we? So Ren was an interesting one. I've been looking at that for somebody every now and then. Does Ren have USD? Oh, it does. I don't know how long that's been going on for, actually. Let's have a quick gander at that one as well. This can't have been going on for too long. It was only tradable with Satoshi pairing before. Oh yeah, it's only been going from October, so we can't really look at that. But we can look at this, because it's been going for a lot longer. Okay, good. So we've got the 200 exponential, and we've got the what it looks like to me is that it looks like it still wants to come down some. This is again another one of those coins which is going to trend with this. One way to measure the how these coins are going to work out is map between this one, the total 2, the 50 and the 200, and they look very similar. This is trending very similar in a way, healthier than most, so it's healthier than most definitely, but it's still in a bearish posturing at the moment. All indicators doing the inverse. We've got the lowest indicators, so we've got the 10, and we've got the 21, and we've got the 50, and the 200, all beneath pretty much beneath the bottom of the Bollinger Band, facing down with a general sort of downwards curve to it. So personally, I wouldn't want to get involved in this one yet. This is another one of those coins which is probably going to come back down to test maybe its all-time low, in the event that Bitcoin breaks down. And Bitcoin is probably going to break down. Like I say, there's no guarantees in this, because when I was saying it was going to break down before, we were looking at this downwards trend. We were looking at the Ichimoku cloud here making this cross, suggesting that there was going to be a continuation of the move down from the price action, which was here at that point, and then we had this big move here to avoid the death cross, which was incoming at the time. So we're having an incoming death cross right now. It's probably, by the way it's shaping up right now, it could happen in the next few hours, when the daily closes, which will be in about 3 or 4 hours. That should be a very bearish indicator where all the bots and algorithms will kick in and just sell the hell out of Bitcoin, breaking down beneath this level here, and coming down to, like I say, maybe my all-time low, which is this support zone here. That's where we'll be looking at buying things up. This is going to collapse, and Ren will collapse too. Ren, we'll have to see how far it goes down. because at the end of the day, it's we're really going to be measuring it on its stats. If we have a look at it, this here, so it's almost 4 cent. I mean, I can't really look at this chart, so it's very difficult to work it out on its actual dollar value because the chart's so small. But when it comes to sats, we could be looking at revisiting our more recent lows of down this area around 400. But it's when we get down to here, and when Bitcoin comes down, into this region here, below 6,000 and into the 5,000s, then we can start thinking about buying some back, because the crypto market at that point will still technically be in a bull market, because we're technically still up for the year, only technically and only marginally, but it will start to recover probably at that point. The recovery will only really take place with the rest of the market, and the market will only recover when Bitcoin decides to recover. And we've got this big wedge now basically that I've formed here. So we've got a triangle here that we have broken down out of, so we broke down out of that one. We've got a new triangle within the triangle which will be bouncing around, and we're going to break down out of that one, and then we'll finally have this one which will be basically make or break, which I think at that point will break to the up. And it's only when this downward spiral, this downwards trend has been broken to the up successfully. This one didn't count because the wick retreated all the way back down beneath the descending trend with a candle body close underneath it, so it didn't really count. If we have more gradual candle body closes outside of this, which we haven't had, we need a candle body close. I know we've had these things here, but this is just the residue of people's FOMO getting sold off, really. When we have constructive candles breaking out of here, then we can say safely that the market is due for a recovery. And I wouldn't be picking up any altcoin, really, until then. So it's definitely, like I say, it's an indecisive time right now. It looks like it wants to come down. Everything looks like it wants to come down. But please explain why this is little talk about Matic while its volume on Binance is double. Ethereum. Oh, is it double now? Yeah. Look, at the end of the day, Matic is my favourite coin on Binance. And if you watch my videos, you know that I follow Matic all the way. I can't explain why it's doing this. All I can explain to you is that we have had a golden cross take place on the Satoshi value. So what's basically been happening, we'll go to the tether pair, and what's basically been happening on all this time is that we've been reaccumulating around this level. So we found our bottom here, we revisited our bottom here, but this level here, about 1.5 cent area, is basically accumulation. And when you accumulate, what happens is it allows the oscillators and the moving averages to begin to reset, and we've had a general gradual uptrend, basically bouncing more or less on the 50 exponential moving average, which is always a good sign. If we're underneath there, it's bearish. You can see when we break down beneath it, we go bearish. When we're above it and it holds, it's ever so slightly bullish. But what's happened is when we go back to the Satoshi value, we've basically been doing kind of the same, and it's just been accumulating. And during all that time, it's allowed these moving averages to reset and basically effectively have a golden cross, which is what we had at pretty much here. So at this point here, so we had that golden cross here. So at that level, we just had it here. The price action began there, and from golden cross from top to bottom is an 86% move up, which is way more than a normal golden cross would have. At the same time as that happening though, because we're looking at the sats value, at the same time as that taking place, Bitcoin's been going down, which is helping it, and Matic's just been going up because there's been a lot of volume, a lot of money getting poured into it, so it's increased its sats value more than it would have done normally on a normal golden cross. That said though, when you look at it here, so the golden cross would have taken place around about this level here. We've still got around about an 80% move from top to bottom now. So yeah, it's getting on for that level now. If you measure it from where it broke down, this is where Bitcoin broke down, we're still talking 80%. So what my expectations of Matic is now is that if Bitcoin breaks down, because this is where it gets really interesting. I made a video about this earlier. This is where it gets really interesting. We've got the death cross here. I don't know why it's just formed there like that, but Binance has been very strange. It's not formed yet, but it's about to form. So we've got an incoming death cross on Bitcoin, and we've got a incoming golden cross on Matic, and they look like they're both about to happen by tomorrow. That means that they'll both do exactly the opposite. Technically speaking, technical analysis speaking, they'll technically do the exact opposite of each other, because those indicators, one is extremely bullish and one is extremely bearish. They're both on the daily, so really powerful indicators if these take place. If Bitcoin goes down, Sats go up. If Matic goes up, Sats go up. So there's a very strong chance that if this works, and I've never seen anything like this before, so I can't really give you an outcome of it, but if it does work, it basically means that we're likely on our Satoshi value, anyway, just on Sats, to reach our all-time high and maybe then some, so 600 plus Satoshis. Do you think the current move could be to do with an impending Coinbase listing? We know what happened eventually. Well, yeah, there's always that too. There's definitely always that too. I mean, this golden cross has been incoming now since, you could say, this candlestick here. So mid-November. So not long really, not long at all. For these moves here, I think largely are a combination of people jumping on the bandwagon, people who are in the know, who recognise that, you know, that is a bullish signal, and picking up on that. And if you notice, not so long ago, Matic was available on Binance for margin trading, which means that, you know, before we saw big moves on Matic because of FOMO and there was an enormous amount of volume. Now there's going to be even more volume with less people holding it because people are leveraging their trades, which means bigger moves up, and it would also mean obviously bigger moves down, because I believe you're able to short it on Binance. So, you know, I mean, you are able to short it on Binance. So when this falls, it will fall equally as fast. What we don't want to see at this point now is parabolic moves like we did at the beginning of Matic's life, because that will then in turn create another consolidation period, just like we saw then. What we really don't want to see is, we don't want to see a lower high in comparison to this, and then another consolidation which takes 6 months, which is something that could happen. If Coinbase come out and say we're going to list Matic, yeah, you'll see massive moves. Definitely, you might see it double. And then what I would expect is that, yeah, you'll get FOMO, you'll get parabolic moves, and then it will come down, but it won't come down to the extent that it did this time. There will be a big move, like when what happened with Link. Link went huge, it went parabolic, it went massive, but then when it retraced by half, but given where it started at the beginning of the year, it was still up about 4 times its value. So that's what kind of the effect I would like to see if Matic's accepted on Coinbase, because Coinbase, you know, they're not leveraging, they're basically allowing you to buy it and sell it for fiat. So completely different vibe, a completely different type of FOMO. It will FOMO and it will retrace, but then it will hold a certain value. So there's quite a lot of things going for Matic at the moment. I mean, if you watch my videos, you kind of know what I expect is that I'm hoping that this 2 cent area will hold as a support. If it doesn't, you know, we do have this level back down here around 17.5 cent, not 17.5 cent, 1.75 cent. But the holy grail is to break above this level here, which is 2.7 cent, which is where we were rejected from after the parabolic move several times before we're completely dying from that. When we break above there, you know, we're looking to maybe not double, but getting close to double. And this is on our tether value, so this is serious money at this point. Real money, not Sats, because Sats are going to be easier to achieve if Bitcoin breaks down, which it's likely to do. Sats will be a lot easier to achieve than they were before. And when Matic had launched at this level, I believe this time a Bitcoin was around about $8,500 at that point. So yeah, sats were harder to achieve than they are now. So looking at Satoshi value against Matic it's not misleading, but it's obviously it's different, because it's slightly cheaper Bitcoin at this point now that we're speaking at now than it was back there. And it'll be significantly cheaper if we manage to break our way down below 6,000. So a quick look at XRP then for you, shall I? Let's get rid of REN and we'll look at XRP. XRP, I did buy some of this just the other day, and only because it got so cheap that I thought, I'll treat myself to a little bit of XRP and join the club. I'm not a big fan of XRP for obvious reasons, and I'm just talking technical analysis reasons. It's a very sorry looking chart, especially when you look at its sats. It looks terrible for sats. I mean, just there's nothing bullish about this chart, to be honest with you. There's nothing bullish about it at all. The thing that I am looking to achieve with it, though, is that even though the chart looks terrible, and it's been terrible from pretty much all the way back from its parabolic move, where I have to tell you that I did buy some back here, and I did sell some, and it made me a fair bit of money. So I do like XRP because it made me a bit of money, but and I've got this kind of place in my heart for it, but how can you really be bullish over something that looks like this? You can't. But if we are able to catch the bottom, and the bottom might not be that far away, I can't see XRP going any lower than 16 cent, and I know that sounds completely ridiculous. We're still theorizing here that Bitcoin might come down to 4,900. That's our overall theory, and if it does come down to that level, it's going to bring XRP down with it without question. Even if XRP just goes down like it did the other day, and just dips and then bounces back up again. I mean, that's what it did here. That could be what it does if it ever goes down to 16 cent. The idea for me would then be, at that point, would be to try and catch the bottom and just hodl it for a couple of years. No point in trying to trade an asset like XRP. You might as well just try and pick it up. Pick it up at its bottom level, which could be as low as 16 cent. But between 16 and 19 cent will be its absolute lowest level. But we're looking at these areas now, and what we see here is we did have a cross here on the Ichimoku cloud above the cloud to tell us that it should be continuing with a move to the up, but that's only on the daily chart. I don't really like looking at the daily chart when it comes to an indicator like the Ichimoku cloud, because it's a long-term trend analysis tool. So when we look at the weekly, what we get is we actually get a downwards cross over the conversion over the baseline, and what we're seeing here is a continuation of the move down from this level here. And at that point, just to be generous, we can say it was 28 cent, and to sell it short we could say it was 26 cents. So a continuation of the move down from that level there, or you could even say from that level there. Now when you get a cross like this, it doesn't mean that it's going to be X amount, doesn't mean it's going to be 30% down, doesn't mean 50%, doesn't mean anything. It just means continuation. So at that level there, I knew there was going to be a continuation, and we will make our way down. I made a video a while back, and people who hold XRP get a little bit touchy with me, so I tend not to make the videos much more, but I did say that it's likely to go down to 20 cent, below 20 cent again, and it just kind of did touch that. So it's not like I was right or anything. I mean, I can't say what level it's going to go down to. All I know is that it would have continued to go down for a longer period of time from this level here, which could have been anywhere from as low as 24.5 cent to as much as 30 cent. So quite a big area. So to say 20 cent to me was quite reasonable. There is a possibility it would go to 16 cent. So you've heard other people say it was going to go down to 16 cent, because I don't really pay attention to other analysis or anything like that. I do use Twitter, and I do see people say stuff, but I think when it comes to XRP, there's so much misleading information, because there's so many people that have such a strong emotional attachment to the coin for some reason that they lose track of their senses, and they and I understand that, because
you've got your money involved in something, and you may be losing money, every day, because it's not a great coin to have, or not this year at least. Anyway, it's been a pretty poor coin to have this year. Probably one of the worst of the top cap coins. Yeah, I mean, it is one of the worst, but so I understand why people get touchy over it. But when I look at other people's Twitter feeds, and people just aren't realistic about it, and it's okay to accept that something's going to go down. We know where it was before. It got to over $3. There's no reason why it can't do that again. But at the moment, it's not telling us anything other than it wants to go down. So that's the direction I'm trending it. And it needs to level out at a certain level. Because if it doesn't start leveling out, the oscillators, the moving averages, the Ichimoku cloud, it won't get a chance to reverse its trend. And until it reverses its trend, you can't call it bullish. But I did buy some. I did buy some at around 21 cent just yesterday. Was it yesterday? So, I'm part of the XRP army now. I am using it on Bybit though, so I'm accumulating more as it goes down. I do expect it to go down, you see. So I've got a small leveraged trade on that, just to pick up a few more. And I've put my sell order only in at 20 cents. So even though I expect it to go down more, to play it safe, that's where I'll be selling and stopping my taking profit on that short. And then the overall end game will be try and catch it at its bottom. So depending on where Bitcoin is and what Bitcoin looks like, because Bitcoin's a lot easier to track and trend than XRP is. We know that XRP trends with Bitcoin in times of woe. So if Bitcoin's going down, XRP is going to go down. So when we look at Bitcoin, and Bitcoin looks like it wants to come down, I'll be pretty safe in saying that XRP is going to come down too. And given the fact that XRP is 22 cents at the moment, if Bitcoin goes down to, and this isn't anything realistic, it's just a ballpark figure, the price action that we are now, 7,100. If we get the death cross, we could come down as low as 35%. Unlikely, but we could. So that brings down to 4,500, which I don't think will come down that low, but it's a possibility. Depending on where the death cross forms, that's the lowest it would go. If we apply the same method to XRP, we will come down to, where does this bring us? 14 cent. So like I say, it's unlikely, but it is possible, but it's unlikely it'll go down that low. Binance has purchased a crypto exchange in India. Matic seems to be the most powerful, well-known, legit Indian crypto startups. Not sure if the current pump has got anything to do with that. You know what? I mean, I know that news and things like that definitely has effects on cryptocurrency, just like the stock market and forex trading. Of course, it does. But just going by the chart on its own, it was like I said at the beginning. When we look at the chart, what we see that we've been accumulating for a long period of time. We've been dancing around essentially this area now since pretty much since August, and that has allowed the bearish nature of the momentum oscillators and the Ichimoku cloud and all the moving averages to kind of level out. And it's when they level out, that's when they start to show us bullish signs, and it's those bullish signs that people pick up on, and that's kind of what's happened. We had this big pop here. I think this was the Coinbase announcement, from what I remember. This was the Coinbase announcement, and this definitely helped the moving averages kind of go slightly bullish. And we came back down again, and around that accumulation zone we bounced from. And now what we have here is we had the golden cross, and I think that basically that's what sparked this move. A lot of people jumping on the bandwagon as a result of that. I mean, yeah, there's always going to be news like, I mean, I don't know about this Indian thing. I mean, it might be a well-known thing. I don't know much about how India trade cryptocurrency, to be honest with you. I was under the impression that they weren't able to do it, although the country didn't like them doing it, but I don't know. I don't know how they work as a country, but it may play a role in it, but I think just going off technical analysis, that speaks for itself, and it did suggest that we were going to have a breakout. It didn't obviously say that the breakout would be quite this dramatic. And the next thing on the list is that we've already had a golden cross here in the Satoshi value, and Bitcoin coming down in value has certainly helped create that golden cross. Now we have a golden crossing coming on the tether pairing, which should be pushing us up to this level here, the 2.7 cent area. How much time do you think we will go down to 16 cent? It's going to be correlated with the Bitcoin drop. It's not anything that XRP has any control over on itself, because it's looking so bearish. XRP has got bearish posturing. It's not got anything bullish about it. It means that it's going to be very sensitive to Bitcoin when Bitcoin decides to go down. And Bitcoin, it might not go down, but it would appear to me that it will go down, and that will bring XRP down, because XRP is vulnerable at the moment, because it's, like I say, it's pretty weak at the moment. We're making a few moves today, but look at this big move here. So yeah, I mean, you're better off focusing on Bitcoin and then attributing what Bitcoin's going to do to the way that XRP is going to react to it, and it will react negatively to it. And so if Bitcoin comes down by another $1,000 or more, I would expect XRP to come down by well, like I say, as low as 16 cent. I mean, that measure move we did just then, probably didn't do it justice. That said 14 cent, but yeah, 16 cent would be the absolute lowest I would expect, and that's where I'd be putting in some decent longs. But it could, it could only drop down to 19 cent. Anywhere between 19 and 16 is where I expect the bottom to be for XRP. Crypto to crypto only. GovBlocks Fiat Gateway. Oh right, okay. Well, I mean, I'm not a fundamentals person. I don't really look at all that sort of stuff. I mainly just focus simply on technical analysis. So, all those things are interesting. Blockchain is all good and well, but I mean, you obviously know a lot more about that kind of thing than me, and fundamentals do mean something. Clearly, they do. But for me, I trade just based on the technical analysis kind of things. It's the only solid thing I've got to go by, to be honest, and it's not even solid anyway. Do you know what I mean? The one thing I always say to people about Matic is that there is an enormous total supply. I think it's 10 billion. I might be wrong. You'll have to correct me on that. So when you've got 10 billion of a certain token, it's going to put limitations on how much it's going to be worth in the long run. For something like Matic to be worth $10, in the future, would require an enormous amount of fiat inflation, because if the money's got to come from somewhere. There's only so much money in the world, and if Matic's gone up that much, the rest of the market will have gone up that much. The market will be worth multiple trillions, and the money will have to come from somewhere, or it will be devaluing fiat currency in general, which is a little bit of a concern that I think governments around the world will probably start to feel over the next few years with all of this crypto business going on. It will eventually start to devalue and deflate fiat currencies. Well, be careful with shorting it at these levels. It's already come down quite a lot. I mean, XRP doesn't move much, to be honest with you. It kind of reminds me of like trading Forex. The moves it makes are quite small at these levels. I know I told you I do have a short in place, because I am expecting it to come down. But that's just me. I mean, don't do it because I've done it. But I mean, what I would say to you is, be more ready to catch the bottom than you are to short it, because if you were to catch the bottom with XRP, there's a lot further to ride it up than there is to ride it down, and that's my view on it. Like, my short is quite modest, to be honest, but when I go long on it, I'll be all in with maybe as much as a 5x on that, which is quite a lot. I don't leverage any more than that ever. That 5x is more than enough. You don't need to do any more than that. Normally I would only do about 3. But yeah, if I'm lucky enough to catch the bottom at 16 cent and ride that one up, you know, you might be looking at some significant gains, you know. At the moment, when it comes to Matic, I'm in two minds about it, because I know that Matic's available for margin trading now, and it worries me a little bit, because I know that, you know, if it was available for margin trading back here, you know, we would have been retired by now, because that's all it wanted to do is consolidate. And I always find it's a lot easier to trade in the opposite way. It's a lot easier to be a bear than it is a bull. Bearish moves, for some reason, I don't know if it's just me, but they seem a lot easier to spot than a bullish move. So it does worry me that if this breaks down, everyone's going to jump on it and short the hell out of it and break it, basically. No, we don't want Matic to be broken. We love Matic, but that's the worry for me. I don't want anyone to murder this coin through shorting it. Margin trading cryptocurrency is a deadly business, and some of these assets, I think it was Binance allowed to margin trade for up to 125x leverage. I mean, that's the fastest way to make yourself bankrupt. I don't care who you are. If you trade a 125x leverage trade successfully, you're just lucky. You know, you're just very, very lucky. Never in my wildest dreams I would do that. I'd have a heart attack just thinking about it. It's definitely going to end in tears. Anyway, guys, like I said at the beginning of this video, I'm not feeling too good. I think I'm coming down with something, so I'm going to leave it with you there. Unless you've got any further questions for me, then I'm going to get myself to bed, to be honest with you. I'm not feeling good at all. Alright, well, I'll take that as a no then. So yeah, I assume you're all subscribers. I hate those people that beg for subscriptions on videos. I think, you know, if someone wants to subscribe, they'll subscribe. If they don't, they don't. They don't need me going, oh, will you subscribe, reminding you to press a button, you know. But I assume you're all subscribers because you've come onto this channel, so thanks for that, I appreciate it. And I hope you have a nice evening, and yeah, I'm going to get myself some sleep. Thanks for watching, and take it easy.